Welcome to the WCS America Premier League Round of 32 Group C. We're in the final match of the night, of course. I'm here, axslav, casting with Rotterdam, live from New York City. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing good. It's been a really fun day. It's a good way. Yeah, I know I want to do something on my birthday that I would remember. And well, casting on the 32nd floor of some cool building in New York is definitely something I will remember. So it's been a good day so far. I'm definitely going to have a lot of fun tonight as well. But I'm super excited to see if we're going to see Goswser advance or if it's going to be Revival. That's
right, of course. So far today, we've seen Pult take out idra 2-0 in the first match. Goswser in the second match taking out Revival 2-1. That made the winner match a match between Pult and Goswser. Pult took that out 2-0 to be the first player from this group to advance to the round of 16. In the losers matchup, we saw idra go out 0-2 to his teammate Revival, sending him back down to the Challenger division. And of course, our final match of the day, Goswser versus Revival. The winner joins Pult in the round of 16. The loser of this best of 3 will join idra in the Challenger division.
It's been a fun day of StarCraft, it really has been, and of course you guys should follow these guys on Twitter as well. I believe Revival is just EG Revival, and certainly Goswser because he really wants more Twitter followers, and it's just Mill, so M-I-L-L, and then Goswser in the weird way that he writes Goswser with the W instead of the...
Instead of W's.
Yeah. It's like, that was a really bad idea, Goswser. Because it's like every single time you're going to tell all your fans, follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/MillGoswser. You have to explain that it's a W instead of the W. It's even annoying to talk about. Goswser just changed it.
It makes sense when you say it, but not when you think about it. It's one of those weird type of things. Let's see if these guys are ready to go at it. Of course, this was our second match of the night, and Goswser did win 2-1, but it was a really close series. And I could see either player advancing this match.
I really can as well. And it's funny as well that Revival has shown us that he is also not one of those guys who's afraid to switch it up a little bit in ZvZ. Yes, at the end of the day, he loves Mudalisk. But hey, in the first game, he went for a tempo against Goswser. And in that last game against idra, he showed signs of perhaps a massive speed/speed baning attack because he was getting +1 armor really quick. But then it got scouted and he's like, nah, I'm just going to play it differently out a little bit as well. But it is going to be hella tough for Goswser, but I do believe that he has what it takes to survive.
We've already seen him take down Revival once. Let's see if he can do it a second time. Of course, the man we're talking about, the blue Zerg in the top right of Neoplanet S, Goswser. And his opponent in the bottom left corner, the red Zerg, Team EG's Revival.
Oops, wrong direction.
No, you were pulling a 360 no-scope.
You know, there are ways to pull 360s in this game.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's like if I follow your camera.
That's true. So if I follow you and then I
like
spin
you
one way
and I spin the other way, then we're gonna make 360s.
And we gotta jump between the screens. Or no, just follow my screen as I follow your screen.
Yeah. And then you keep spinning and then everyone at home gets drunk.
A clever little technique. They'll have to test that one out next time.
Off camera, X. Off camera.
Definitely.
So far, no early pulls, so it seems like Revival once more wants to go for Hedge first, as that's really what he's been showing a favor to. Most likely Goswser is going to drop the 15 pull and then is going to follow it up with a hatchery, unless he wants to switch it up a little bit as well. But he likes to play it safe.
He likes this build, and you know the thing about it is the pull hatch versus hatch pull, they're both so close. You know, like the hatch might be like a tiniest bit better, but really, if you're comfortable with the way the build works and all the timings of exactly when to build drones, eject, and etc., you should just stick with whichever one you're more comfortable with because the differences are so, you know, minuscule.
Yeah, and certainly when there is always that risk of an early pull on the other side, and if you actually always open up with a pull, but this is one time you're going to go hedge first, and then you're like, oh my god, what should I do? How do I deal with this? Even though, of course, both these guys have been in a situation like this many times, because I can imagine that Goswser has been experimenting with hedge first as well, but probably just feels a little more safe like this, and it's like, you know what, I'm fine playing from this position, and as you said as well, the difference is minor.
We actually see Revival doing what he did against idra, which he did not do in his earlier series against Goswser, which is getting the extractor before the spawning pool. Of course, this means he's going to have speed leans faster, but it's also going to delay the queens, which is a minor hidden larva. And these minor differences can sometimes take effect depending on how the players play out the opening.
Small drone lead right now for Revival, but that's of course because he was gonna go head first. Actually, Goswser makes his first batch of links really early on this time. Wants to get a scout off with it, and he should be able to, because as you mentioned as well, the queens are going to be a little bit later. So he might actually be able to scout the extract, and of course once you scout with those links, you don't just want to see the spawning pool wiggle, or I mean, if you do see that, then you know what time it is, but you also want to click on the extractor. Actually, Revival is still mining gas right now, so he's showing signs of at least want to get a pretty quick baneling nest as well.
That's definitely what we've been seeing in ZVZ. There was a time when Zergs were taking all those Zerglings off,
yep.
But it seems like they've all decided that banings and also the stockpiling gas for the eventual lair attack and Mutalisk is just an important aspect of the game. So when you see them out of gas mined, it actually tells you how long ago they started speed. You can say, okay, they mined 80 more gas than the 100 it costs to get speed. You know, 80 gas takes 40 seconds, so speed is 40 seconds in. Those type of, you know, quick maths are actually very, very important to knowing the exact timings of your opponent.
Yeah, certainly in ZVZ. If there's any matchup where that is also important to actually see exactly, it is definitely in ZVZ. Because hey, 80 gas means 3 extra banelings that shouldn't be there normally in a phase of the game where you might not expect them if everything played out standard. 25 drones for Goswser, 24 Revival. Revival's making an overload as well. He has to make a lot of links / banelings. I can only imagine that he wants to do that. Otherwise I would have been really surprised. He did pull off 1 drone for a little while. That was just kind of giving his opponent the feeling like, hey man, I'm gonna attack you. Or actually like I'm gonna just stack up. And instead I thought he wanted to make a lot of speed links / banelings, but doesn't seem to be the case. As now he's gonna go back to droning. A little bit surprised. Mind game after mind game. Maybe he's mind gaming himself.
It could be. He has 2 banings. Takes out a few of the Zerglings of Goswser on the right side of the map. Of course, Goswser did see those morphing. He has a queen up and some banelings of his own, so he should have no problem pulling this off. In fact, 2 queens.
Absolutely has nothing to worry about. We see a Roach Warren in production for Goswser once more. Where did he build it? He built it in the main base, so it's not a Roach Warren that he wants to reveal. Might see a very like early Roach attack actually, not like the night display we saw from him in the other game, but might just be a straight up Roach attack. And we see the Roach Warren going down for for a Revival as well.
This is really interesting. Both players going for basically a hatchery tech build that would be all in. If your opponent was going Mutalisk and you go a Roach Baneling attack, you pretty much have to do insane damage to make it work.
This one Baneling does survive, so he's going to be forced to send a couple of more links, and those links die as well. It's pretty frustrating for Goswser, who's making 8 roaches now at once. We see Revival is going to go up to layer though, unlike his opponent. Goswser is just going to go all out on the roaches right now. And as soon as Revival scouts this, I can only imagine him dropping an insane amount of spine crawlers, and he already has to.
Or he could just, he may just build roaches, and he has the overload. If he sees his attack coming, it's going to be very, very good for him because he can just match his opponent's roaches, and he's going to have the lair attack coming up as well. The build Goswser chose is really designed to punish someone who's trying to tech greedily to Mutalisk.
Yep.
Against an opponent who's also going roaches, these type of attacks generally aren't super effective.
Revival has just such a great feeling right now of what is going on. He's going to drop 1 more spine crawler, and then that's exactly all he needs. He's ahead in workers. He's been ahead 6 to 8 drones for a very long amount of time right now. He's producing quite a few roaches. I think by the time that all the units arrive from Goswser, he's going to have just as many roaches, and then he has the spine crawlers to fall back on. And he's still, ooh, that's a nice veining detonation for Goswser. But still, it's going to be so hard to bust against 3 spines. And of course, the defensive banelings from Revival.
It's going to be a very difficult match. In fact, Goswser is going to back away, not even trying it, saying, you know what, I'm going to trade poorly against those spines, but I know he's going roaches. So because he's going roaches, it's not like I instantly die as I would if he had a whole bunch of mutas on the way. I just have no map control. And instead, he's going to get an evolution chamber to start getting upgrades, and he's going to try to catch up in tech. Getting his lair right now.
The hard thing is though that roach speed is already being researched right now for Revival, and Revival is like, cool, we're gonna turn this into roach wars. Well, I believe I have more money than you, so if I'm gonna get good upgrades on my roaches as well, and I just keep making roaches, either you're gonna make an insane amount of spines, or we're gonna take a roach fight, which I'm going to win. And if you make all those spines, that means I have complete map control and I can do whatever I want. So it's a very tough scenario right now to play for Goswser, who is down 10 drones.
The one advantage he does have is a slightly faster roach speed or roach attack upgrade, and also the fact that roaches aren't like speedings. They don't rally instantly across the map. So in a roach mirror, you have to have a pretty significant roach count advantage to take the battle to your opponent's side of the map.
That is definitely true, but of course, as long as you have a little bit of map control at least, you can expand quicker than your opponent, and that is exactly what Revival is doing here. He's going to drop that hatch way before Goswser would even think about dropping it, because he knows he can't protect it right now. He's going to research roach speed immediately, but the Overseer did see it, so Revival was like, alright, everything is going according to plan.
You know what's interesting is I'm curious to see how these players follow up their openings. Because this is a situation where no one's going to transition into mutants because you're already going to be, at least Revival is going to have a third base pretty solidified. And as long as he scouts it, it wouldn't do too much damage. But the question is do they just mass a ton of roaches? Do they try to add in infestors? Do they even add in swarm hosts? Because I imagine those are probably pretty good against roaches. There's so many options here.
There are scenarios where swarm hosts could be pretty good, but I feel that swarm hosts in ZVZ is only really good if you're actually ahead already. And even then, it's a risky movement because if you reposition them and you get fungled somewhere else by if your opponent goes infestors, you're going to have to be oh so careful. We do see... That is actually Goswser dropping the infestation pit way before, which I think is a smart thing because I think if he would just keep building roaches, he's never going to have more roaches than his opponent. So I guess if he wants to make the difference, it's going to be because of quicker infestors or something along those lines.
That's a very, very smart thing. Is if you ever know
swarm host.
If you ever know that is cool, and this could work because even though he's behind in economy, if he can get into a situation where the locusts are constantly fighting the roaches and getting a lot of cost-efficient trades, that could work out for him. And this type of asymmetrical play is exactly what you want to do if you're behind your opponent. If you just keep making the same units, still have more.
Yep.
Especially against a Korean like Revival, you're not going to just outmuscle them. But if you do something different, so you both have different styles of units, then all of a sudden, even if you're behind, you can make the comeback.
Yeah, it's a really interesting playstyle we see here out of Goswser, and I'm so curious to see how it's going to unfold, how he's going to try to make this work. I think that Revival is aware of this right now, or if he wasn't yet, he's going to be real soon, because he's like, okay, I love this. Interesting. Well, obviously Revival does not sound like that. It was probably more like, Lucas.
So Goswser is definitely going for a 2-base timing with this. He hasn't gotten that during Locust upgrade. He hasn't started a 3rd base. He's just going to keep probably rallying in more roaches using the initial Locust swarm host he has now.
Oh, the locusts were actually not burrowed, so there was, or the swarm host, so no locusts were there. Beautiful concave over here by Revival as well. Yes, there are a lot of free units in the mix here for Goswser, but is that going to be enough? Because the roach count is just far superior for Revival.
Oh, and the Overseer can help spot those swarm hosts. The next Locust wave is about to be ready.
And then he should be fine. I don't think Revival wants to stick around and battle all those additional locusts. Because after all, those are just free units. But I do think that fight alone was good enough. Drone count, it's extremely close there from either side. We saw Revival dropping an infestation pit, and now he's like, you know what, I'm going to drop Spire too. So he's just getting all the tag on 49 drones. Or did he cancel the infestation pit? Because he was definitely making one.
I think he did. I think when he realized there was locusts out and he realized Goswser is on 2 bases,
yep.
he might be worried about if the swarm host count increases, trying to fight it with roaches once there's a lot of locusts is kind of a lost cause unless you catch him off guard. But if he knows his opponent's just going roach swarm hosts, yep. He knows there's no way there's going to be hydras if he's on 2 base and with the infestation protect. So a switch to muteless could really, really wreck Goswser's day.
Yeah, it could be very deadly, and certainly because he still has sort of a container. And the moment that Goswser is going to move out, I love how he's setting this up already. Has a serious amounts of roaches on the north side, and also has quite a few roaches here on the south side. If Goswser goes north, those south roaches will just run into the natural, force him back, buy extra time for those mutalisks. Revival is just playing this out beautifully, man. Like, he's doing everything right.
He really is. Goswser, of course, is looking to do a timing once that second attack upgrade nears completion. But it's going to be too late. There's about to be 10 mutalisks produced, and Goswser has nothing that can hit air.
Oh, wow. That changeling actually forced one Baneling to detonate, but it was like the most obvious Baneling ever, or most obvious changeling ever. Anyone could have seen that. Here we do see Goswser moving out, but 11 mutalisks are on the way already. 11 additional roaches are in production, but here comes the counter from Revival, something he's been setting up for a long time. Alright, Goswser is going to have to retreat. God, this is just... Revival's playing very well right now.
Yeah, this is this picture.
Oh, before he made this move command.
He just donated a horde of roaches there. And that's going to give Goswser a nice little happy face. But that might be turned upside down as soon as he sees these Mutalists.
Yeah, how many Mutalists are we going to have on the map? 12. I mean, 12 Mutalists is a lot, but if all those roaches slash swarmos just completely destroy this third base and also kill a lot of roaches, I mean, we shouldn't overestimate the amount of damage output that 12 Mutalists do. Yes, eventually Revival wins this fight, but is it going to be enough in time? Because this is a crazy amount of roaches for Goswser. Oh my god, 56 roaches!
So many roaches, and when he saw the Mutalists, he ran the Swarm host back, wanting to keep those guys alive.
Wow, I think Revival with that one big misclick might actually have lost the game. There are still so many roaches. He's losing a lot of roaches on his own.
The third is going to go down for sure.
Yep, eventually these Mutalists will kill all these roaches, but the never-ending question, at what cost?
And if it's 2-base at 2-base, Goswser can find a way to beat... Oh, he's even going to retreat, so... oh, but he doesn't know about the top left base. That's so unfortunate for him. He definitely probably would have kept pushing in if he knew about that. Or at least tried to take that out as well.
And I really think that he could have potentially run... Like, look how many roaches he had still over here. I would have loved to see them just run into the natural. And yes, eventually those Mutas would come and like protect those units. And try to at least focus off a couple of roaches. But I feel he could have done even more damage than he did. Because he had a crazy amount of roaches.
He really did. He wants to go for another timing. So in this case, he chose to preserve the roaches so we could have additional buffer for his Swarm host Hydra's competition. And going forward, you know, yes, Revival has a top left base, but Goswser, the foods are even, and I feel his competition is going to be more cost efficient in a direct fight.
True, and he still has the army supply advantage as well, but it's gonna have to happen right now. Goswser has one attack to make this all work, and he's gonna have to do it properly because Revival is up 20 drones. So if this goes on for a good solid 2 minutes, then everything will even out. We even see like 1 or 2 infestors being thrown in the mix now as well for Goswser. He can't wait. If only he knew. If only he knew about this base, but he doesn't know, so he kind of feels like, hey, this is 2 base against 2 base. Even if my opponent has more drones, doesn't really matter, because our mains are running so thin that he might actually be mined out already if he had more drones than me. So I'm doing more than fine. My army, as you said, is more cost effective and stronger in a straight up fight. He doesn't know about that base in the top left side. He really has to force a fight real soon.
He's moving in again across the top. Revival not going for the base trade, trying to fight straight up. Goswser backs away. Oh, here come the Locusts.
And I love how Revival is kind of pushing him away from this left top side as well, isn't it? That's so well done. This is really like kind of painful to watch, because it's like, you know, you're watching an accident happen and you can't do anything about it. It's just like, oh.
He just doesn't know about the top left base, and that's really throwing his timing off. Of course, his timing is almost perfect, because if there wasn't that top left base, that third base would just be coming up now, and he'd attack right before it kicks in.
There are
oh no! His vulnerable units in the back! Roaches are here!
It's gonna be hard though, like there's just so many units for Goswser.
And then Infestors almost have enough energy for Fungal.
Yep. And they never had penetrating glands, right?
No, they didn't, which I mean, I think that's 100% correct. You're only gonna get two Infestors.
He's making a few more right now, so you could perhaps...
maybe, yeah.
Expect him to throw it in real soon. There are just kind of like mini fights happening all across the map right now, but Revival is just like, just stay away from the left top side. Oh, the Swarmos!
Goswser, some of his units caught off guard there, and all those units are so important.
That was a very, very expensive loss. He's going to try to sandwich his army right now, but these Hydra is actually quite exposed. The Swarmos are not burrowed. 2 more Swarmos will go down. And Fungal does land on a couple of these roaches, but I'm afraid it's not going to be enough.
No, Goswser tried to split up, and unfortunately, because he had Hydralists, he didn't want to leave those units exposed. Revival just has too many units absolutely running over Goswser's army there. Great play by Revival this game.
Yeah, that was just really great play by Revival. Revival will win this map as well, which is 2-0, right? No, actually, the last game was, well, there was a bell shot. Yeah. Too many ZVZs, I'm almost blown out. I was like, hey, that's just the first map.
Yeah, that's right. We're in the first map of the series, I think. The last one, of course, was against idra in the losers match. Yeah. And you know what's cool about that is the way Revival kept threatening the base trade. And Goswser knew he couldn't win the base trade. And so he got to a point where he's like, I can't push my army out along one lane because he'll attack the other.
No, that was just a beautiful Zerg dance, and also the way that he kept Goswser away from that left top side. He's just like, alright, I got units here, I got units here. And it's like, oh, I'm gonna take this really bad fight for me. If you just come a little bit closer, and then he just runs away again. It's just really well done. Excellent play by Revival. It
was definitely a beautiful game there. Goswser tried to sandwich to prevent the base trade, but then his units were too split up, and Revival just jumped onto small fractions and basically just slaughtered those small groups. But I think Goswser showed really strong play there. It was his opening put him behind.
Yep, no, way behind.
Yeah, way behind. So hopefully we'll see a better game from him in the second match, maybe a little more of a standard game. We'll be right into game number 2 after a short break.